What's up, guys? It's your boy, the essential John L. Crossfire, aka the real main event, aka the Rogue Soldier, and today you're about to learn firsthand just what it's like to be caught in the crossfire. But above all else, prepare yourself, because in this very moment, today, right now, you are about to be caught in conversation. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 52 of Caught in Conversation. Episode 52. We made it! A full year of consistent week-by-week episodes. Who would have thought that I would have had the attention span to do it? And honestly, with everything that's going on in life, I didn't think I was going to get here either, but we did it. We've managed to squeeze it in. Not sure if there, again, much like I said in the last few weeks, if there is an episode next week, just ignore this rant, but I'm not sure, how frequent the episodes will be in the next couple of weeks. I just really pushed really hard to get this episode out so that I could get to the full 52 episodes so I could conclude the full year. But yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to remain, as again, obvious health reasons. I did just have surgery, but when I say we, obviously I mean you, the listeners, all the guests and co-hosts I've had, along with myself, but I can't talk co-hosts, however, without talking about the amazing woman that is joining me today, once again for the third episode in a row now. It's the one, it's the only, it's Mrs. Crossfire.
Hi everyone, how you going today?
Little soundboard effect for you there. You ready to go?
Yeah, ready to rock and roll.
Now, the reason I've got you on here once again is because we didn't really have much of a format for today. As we said, everyone knows by now that listens to the pod, I've had a bit of a go around. I'm currently recovering from my cornea surgery. We're on day 9, as I record this. And we wanted to just talk about our Sydney trip, what was going through my mind, what was going through your mind, and then, speaking of Sydney, we're going to do a quick little rundown of the PWA show that we watched last night upon recording this. Unfortunately, we did miss the last couple of shows just due to fund reasons, which is really sad because I had a rumble at their last show, and everyone loves a good rumble, but we're here. We enjoyed this show nonetheless. We'll get to it in a few moments, but the song of the week this week, before we go any further, is Blinded by the Light by the Rubik's Cubes. This is a cover of an original song by Bruce Springsteen. However, it is in the style of the single edit version, I believe that's the technical term, of the Manfred Mann's Earth Band, which is arguably the most famous version of the song. It's a banger of a tune, and I just thought that, given the circumstances, it'd be a funny one, to pick. But this version of the song actually features in one of the Guardian of the Galaxy soundtracks. I believe it's one of the animated series versions of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm not even going to edit that out. I tripped over my words. Whatever, I got a massive fucking headache right now. But yeah, it's just an absolute banger. Again, the song is Blinded by the Lights by the Rubik's Cubes. But, Mrs. Crossfire, I've got you here because we just wanted to shoot the shit, and I guess in a weird way, as we've said multiple times on these episodes, it's kind of therapeutic, I guess, kind of just vent.
Yeah.
And I know that I, going under the knife, so to speak, was obviously very nervous, but I know that you in your own right were also very, very nervous, and a lot of things going through your mind. In fact, if we fast forward to after I'd had the surgery, I was in recovery. Some sort of miscommunication. They told you that I was still in theatre, so you had no idea what the fuck was going on, even though I was fine.
Yeah.
But we'll start from the beginning of how did you view this entire trip from when we first left, on Wednesday to when we came back late Monday night?
So the train ride was pretty good. There was this cute elderly lady that was sitting behind us, and she needed help opening up her food and stuff because she's rather elderly, so she couldn't do it on her own. I was like,
Mrs. Crossfire to the rescue over here.
No worries, I'll help you out. And then we're just we're watching, we've been watching,
we were watching the Toys That Made Us.
Yeah, watching the Toys That Made Us, and the old lady's tapping John on the shoulder and was like, I don't mean to interrupt or be annoying, Did you see that pretty rainbow out like the window? And that kind of just made the trip for me. Like it felt like I'm weird and I'm like all spiritual and shit. And I was kind of like, that's a sign that everything's gonna be okay. So it's like my anxiety was running high the whole time, but just thinking back to that, it just felt like it was gonna be okay. It was a really good sign to see that rainbow. It just. Yeah, it helped me through it a bit. That's what I kept going back to, thinking of. That's why I brought that up. But,
we said the same thing to each other on the train. We're like, surely that's got to be some sort of sign. And hey, look, you guys can believe in whatever you believe in, but we're both very spiritual people. And all things considered, probably one of, if honestly not the smoothest trip we've had since, this all started.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was
like we've had back and forth where there's been travel delays, this, that, whatever. The train right from the get go, it was on time. We got on, boom, away we went. There was one little mishap. This lady was in our seat, but that was because she read the wrong ticket. She read her going home ticket, which it wasn't any slight on our backs. We were just confused. Like, have they moved us without telling us? Because they've done that a few fucking times now. But no, she was just a little bit confused. But that's all right. We got where we needed to be, and then we just, we downloaded. I think we were 2 episodes into season 2 of The Toys That Made Us.
Yeah.
Or something like that. 2 or 3 anyway. We downloaded what was left onto my laptop, so we watched it on Netflix. For the trip there. And that was cool. The lady kept asking every now and again, what time it was, et cetera, but pretty smooth trip, which, considering what was going through both of our minds, it was very much needed, I feel.
Yeah, it was good.
But then, obviously, we wake up on Thursday, and I was just shitting myself. I had to wake up early so that I could squeeze in a light breakfast. And then I went back to sleep for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, I'm at the hospital, and that's when for me, it was like a blur. Like, I think it went faster for me than our wedding day did. Like, I think I was more nervous for this than I was for our wedding day, which I don't know why, because I've gone through it before, but I guess all things considered, looking at what's potentially on the other side in this particular case, I was only 16 at the time. Now I'm staring down the barrel of fuck, all of a sudden, by the time, we have kids and whatever else and we go on with our lives, I'm actually going to be able to see. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have 20/20 vision, but I'm going to be able to see better than I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. And I've got all of this stuff in front of me, and it's just wild to me. It's great. Like, it excites me, but it also, like, I don't know if this sounds bad, but kind of fucking terrifies me at the same time.
Yeah, it's pretty scary to think about, but like it's good at the same time. Like, yeah.
Like, obviously, we don't know for sure if I'm going to be able to be cleared to wrestle ever again, but there's obviously going to get to a point where I'm going to be able to get in there and have a roll around at some point, even if just by myself, right? And I'm like, how weird's it going to be, like, the first time, like, I'm able to actually just do rolls and shit like that and see better than I've ever seen before. When I'm doing that even, I'm just like, it's just these little things that are kind of popping into my head.
Yeah, for sure.
But what was going through your mind while we were there? Like, waiting around and...
It's more like abandonment issues were kind of playing up hard, and it's not you abandoning me, but it was like trying to face like the fears of like, oh shit, complications could happen, bad things could happen, you could die on the table, like all these stupid... anxiety-filled shit, because, like, I've been super amped up with all this other personal stuff lately, so my anxiety's already through the roof, and then it was like, fuck, we've got to be in Sydney in a week, and this is all happening, and it's just, like, so much at once. I've just been full of anxiety, so it's, like, the whole time I was just, like, just thinking the worst about, like, everything. All the negatives were, like, in my head, so it was, like, a super anxious time.
Well, as I just said before, like, I went through the operation. It was, they told you to come back in about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It took them about 2.5. It took them a little bit longer than they would have hoped, but for all intents and purposes, it still went really smoothly. But then I woke up in recovery, and whatever they'd, put in my system to kind of relax me and put me to sleep, it lowers your blood pressure, which is obvious because, you're resting and whatever, but it raised it too low and they freaked the fuck out. They're like, the the fuck's going on? Like, this dude's blood pressure is like super low, so they had to feed me with water and coffee and sandwiches, and that was great. But while I was just chilling, just getting free coffee and whatnot, Mrs. Crossfire is freaking the fuck out because they've told her that I'm still in theatre.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there like, yeah, he's still in theatre. I was like, cool, so can I wait in the waiting room? Because I don't want to really have to walk back across the road to, like, the hotel. It's not that far away. But
what's going through your mind? Is it still the same thing? Or, like, is there anything in particular, like, when you're in the waiting room and they're like, he's still in theatre and you're looking at the time, like, well, what was going through your mind there? Like,
it was just stressing me out that something had happened, like, complicated. I was like, fuck, the worst has happened. And that's why I kept trying to think back to the rainbow thing, and it was like, that's what was getting me through, as silly as it seems.
It was kind of, I don't know if it was actually as funny, or if because I was still semi-high, like, from the stuff that they put me to sleep with, but you have me on emergency bypass with your mobile phone. I've woken up enough to the point where I'm like, okay, cool. I've just unlocked my phone. I'm a bit groggy. Cool. I press this one button and you're right there. Like you're on fucking speed dial. And I press the button and all of a sudden from like 2 rooms away, I hear your emergency bypass go off.
Yeah.
I'm like, hello? I'm like, how long have you been in the waiting room? And you told me what happened. And I'm like, look, I'm in this bed. Like, walk down here.
I might have sounded cranky because I was cranky that you were still in theatre, apparently. Like, because they had it on the board that you were still in theatre. So it wasn't even just like they were lying to me so you could have some time.
Lack of communication or miscommunication between the nurses, unfortunately, which does happen. It's a big hospital.
Yeah, and they're running around understaffed, all of that. But it was just,
I called you and you're just like, hello? And I'm like,
another reason I sounded cranky is the whole fucking room was staring at me from my ringtone. Because it was so
it's
loud.
It's not your traditional ringtone. As I said, you've got me on emergency bypass, like I'm your husband.
Yeah, so I got you on emergency bypass, and it's like we're supposed to have our phones, like, either turned off or on silent. It was on silent. But because
I'm the one calling you, it's bypassed.
So I was fuck! So I was quickly trying to hit it.
Because it almost sounds like an alarm, like with the one you've got, because again, it's for an emergency, like.
Well, no, it's not that. It's actually the ringtone from Orphan Black.
Yeah, but with how loud it goes off, it's because it's the emergency.
No, it just does that. Like, that's just the volume that it's at. So it's like, it's just general. It's just, I picked that one because it is a louder sounding ringtone because I am a little bit deaf, so it's hard to like hear. And when I lose my phone and it's under blankets and shit, it makes it easy to find.
We're learning on the podcast that I'm just a dumbass because I thought it worked similar to an alarm, where obviously when my alarm goes off, the thing is louder than when my phone rings, even when it's turned.
Yeah, no, mine's just still the same. It's just the same ringtone, same volume, all of that. It's just, I just picked one that sounds louder, so then that way it alerts me more.
But anyway, we're just
ranting.
But like, I called you, and I've heard your ringtone, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's awesome. It's good to know that she's close by, and you're just like, hello, and I'm like, oh, I'm out of surgery.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to sound cranky. It was just like, it was more my worried concern voice, but I was kind of cranky at the same time, not at you, but the fact that they weren't telling me what was going on.
Everyone's staring at you. You've just been told I'm still in theatre. You've just been told I'm still in theatre, and all of a sudden I'm calling you, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like what's...
And I was kind of caught off guard because usually they'd say you're in recovery, so I was kind of like, who the fuck's stolen my husband's phone while he's in fucking surgery? Like, because usually they say, oh yeah, he's in recovery. He'll be like an hour or whatever. Did you want to go do something? But they didn't even tell me you were in recovery. So that's why I was like, what the fuck?
But you come in, you brought me a buttload of snacks. You brought me like two cans actually, 2 really tall cans of Dr. Pepper, which you can only get like kind of in the city here in Australia. And I was just like, this is the greatest day of my life.
Yeah, like, I was kind of like, I don't know if you're allowed to have any of this junk food, but...
And I'm like, good news for you. They're trying to get my blood pressure up, so give me all of this sugar.
Yeah, it's like, that's my love language is food. So, and it was kind of like, because that's what kept me busy is afterwards, I was kind of like, what do I go do? I'm in the city. I could go and do anything. But I was like, I feel really anxious and depressed. What do I do? And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go to the convenience store that's next to the hotel, go and get stuff. And I was like, I'll get some stuff for you. That's kind of like a little care package while I'm here. So they have a little bag and like a card and everything. So I was like, cool. And then just got some little snacks and stuff.
The card was very cute. I don't know where it is. It's still in my bag somewhere, I think. But
I've got it over there. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, I don't know, like we're here talking about, because like I feel like it's better putting it on the pod as well. Like obviously not every like member of family and friends are gonna like listen to this, but like I'm recovering from eye surgery, but everyone's still messaging me like, how are you going? And I understand it's from a caring standpoint, but when it is my eye, it does get a little bit frustrating trying to like reply to them all. So it's like,
At this point, I kept telling everyone, I'm like, just message me, but no one's listening to me.
At this point, as I said, as we record this, it's day 9. This will go out tomorrow. It'll be 10 days removed. So, like, you know, by the time most people listen to this, it'll be, you know, about 2 weeks removed from surgery. And, like, I'm doing good. Like, obviously, I still can't see out of the eye, but compared to what it was with all the scarring, I can see like 10 times better at the same time, if that makes sense. Like it's a complete blur, but when I did do the eye test and they put like the little, I don't even know what you'd call it, like the little dots that you've got to look through. And Mrs. Crossfire got really excited, as did I, because I could barely look past the first big letter, and even the second ones were blurry as hell before having the surgery. And with the dots, I just managed to get down to the third line, and it was just like, holy shit, like, how insane is that? Like, even just, and that was 3 days after, 4 days after?
So I'm not an ophthalmologist at all, but I think the dots are to see how you'd take to glasses.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's like a bifocal thing.
It magnifies it, but looking through it, I could see 2 lines more than I could previously, even with the dots. And it's just like that already, like, I look at you right now through my left eye, and it's still very blurry, but I can still, it used to be a blur of color. Like, although I can't make out your facial features per se, I can still kind of see the outline of your eyes, and like I can see the shapes clearer than I could before. Yeah. So that's obviously a good sign. The pain has gone down a little bit. I'm still needing a little bit of like ibuprofen or Panadol just to kind of help me sleep, but
you were taking painkillers like 4 times as something a day or something like
that. Yeah, well, they wouldn't give me anything stronger, so I had to constantly, pretty much every 4 hours, they had me just taking just the ibuprofen, which did help. It was reducing the swelling, but I was in agony the first couple of nights, and now it's like, it's just crazy how quickly I've bounced back, so to speak. Like I keep getting in trouble, y'all.
I'm not meant to be a stubborn little shit.
But half the time I'm not even doing it to be an asshole. I don't realize I'm not meant to be bending down, and the heavy lifting I can keep in mind, because obviously it's like, okay, I'm not going to go out of my way to lift anything super fucking heavy. Like I can still do the dishes. I did the dishes last night as I record this. You know, gave me a little bit of a headache looking down for that long. I had to take a break, but wasn't like super bad. Whereas if I keep bending down, you know, that kind of off balances me. And most people have said that, like, even though you're not meant to do it the entire time the stitches are in, which could be any time from 3 to 12 months. But once you get past that 2 week point, like if I've got to bend down to tie my shoes or whatever, like just doing it for that quick, like 5 seconds, realistically should be fine, as long as I'm not like in an area where I can fall over and crack me fucking head or whatever.
So that's what they said with the bending and stuff. You can do it anywhere from a week afterwards to about up to 3 weeks. Yeah, well, a week is a safe way, but they said 2 weeks is almost like a definite. You should be fine, but they still say to limit it as much as you can. A week to 3 weeks. Yeah, that's what they were saying. And then like with the lifting and stuff, it could be a couple of months. They said maybe after a month, but keep checking with your doctor. Which is stressful for me, because I've guaranteed to be off work for at least 6 months, and then we've got to go, because obviously people know I'm a cleaner. I scrub toilets. It's a fun time. So even when I get to that point where I can bend down, whatever, I've still got the case of, you know, the stitches being in. So hopefully the stitches come out
around the 6-month point, but they can be in up to a year. So honestly, Crossfire's real life is a little bit hectic right now. He's a little bit stressed, but we're doing good. Mrs. Crossfire is a great nurse, even though I am a bit stubborn and ticking her off. But as I say, I don't do it intentionally, but smooth trip all around. And they're never going to, hear this, but one of the indigenous, what would you call her? Social worker, health worker?
She's an Aboriginal liaison.
Liaison, thank you. There was the indigenous liaison really helped us out, and her name was Auntie Linda. And she really helped us out with, just the travel. Well, not travel because it's not covered. We're working on that, hopefully, to get IPTAS. But she helped us out. The hotel that me and Mrs. Crossfire, or Mrs. Crossfire and I, have been staying at the entire time we've been going back and forth to Sydney for the last year. Not quite a year and a half, but just over a year and a bit. Turns out that's the same hotel that they deal with. And although they can't reimburse us for a whole year worth, which would be nice if they could, but, obviously, statutory or whatever.
Yeah.
But going forward, now that I've had the surgery, they're going to help us out with that. So
I think the
that's
program's
great.
pretty new too. I think she said there's a program.
Yeah, there's only a couple of hospitals in Sydney that do it, and I can't remember which one she said she usually works
Prince
at.
of Wales.
Prince of Wales.
Yeah.
But the one where we were at, which is it's
just the Sydney Eye Hospital.
Just the Sydney Eye Hospital. Yeah, they've just introduced it, so that's one that's one less thing for us to worry about in theory. Which reminds us, as we're here on the pod, we've actually got a caller at the start of the week on Monday. But yeah, we're doing good. Stressful times, regardless, but we're doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I think Mrs. Crossfire is worse off than I am with all the worrying that she does.
Yeah. There's just a lot happening. Yeah.
But is there anything else that I missed? Any funny things that I missed while I was asleep or doped out on painkillers?
Not really as such. It was just mainly I went to the convenience store, went back and I tried to watch some of my Blacklist show that I watch, and then I just fell asleep because I was that freaking exhausted because the night before I just didn't sleep. So it was it was good to get some sleep. And then I had an alarm on, was fuck, I need to go put my shoes and shit on and get over there and see. And that's why I was fuck.
Well, even as we record this on Saturday, I think it was...
even when I went over there, sorry, to interrupt, but
the light bulb just went off.
Over there, I was it'd been about 3 odd hours, I think, when I went over there.
Yeah, because
I gave it an extra hour, because I was I gave it an extra hour for recovery. And I was fuck, yeah, he's still in theatre. That's another reason why I panicked. It wasn't that it was just half an hour over. It was literally an hour over.
Yeah, by the time I called you, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
but
just
I think when we came back, because as I said, we were recording this on Saturday, I think it was Wednesday, we were laying in bed watching, I think we were watching Storage Wars or one of the random shows we watch, and you literally fell asleep on me and you started snoring instantly. And I was oh my God, I felt so bad because I know that you can't help it, but that was essentially because you've been my nurse. Obviously it's now that we're getting to closer to the 2-week point, it's not as bad. I can do my eye drops and everything by myself now because I've got enough wherewithal to do that. I can put my eye shield on by myself of a night time, but it is a lot easier with Mrs. Crossfire's help. So we've gotten to a point now where you're doing my eye shield of a night, and that's really about it. And then you've just got to make sure that I don't
clean and stuff in the morning.
Just make sure that I don't roll over onto that side as well in my sleep, which you've been pretty good at. But I'm so glad that I'm slowly getting to that point now because you were so exhausted, and I felt so bad because I'm exhausted just because I'm in pain and stuff, but I'm still getting sleep here and there, and then you just crashed, and I'm I felt so bad because it was I'm almost directly responsible for that. Obviously, you've got all the other stress of life and work and your health issues and stuff on top of that. But I was just oh my God, I feel so terrible right now.
That didn't help. But my sleeping pattern's been shit the last nearly 2 months. I've been staying up till friggin' 6 a.m. and going to sleep at 6 a.m.
Doesn't help that we've been staying up late. Staying up late as of late. That's a bit. Is that redundant? I don't know. Staying up late as of late, regardless, and we've been watching the Depp Heard trial, but
yeah, because
as most of the world has.
I've just been really interested because I used to do legal studies, so it was just really interesting seeing how the American legal system works. It was really cool.
But yeah, we're slowly getting there. hopefully, smooth sailing ahead. But I think we should probably move on. We're about 20 minutes in. We've waffled on about our feelings and whatever else.
Feelings.
We haven't overshared as much as on this podcast as we usually had, so that's a good start. Did you want to move on?
Usually I'm super emotional and I overshare, but
it's more just exhausting more than anything. But I'm doing good. Mrs. Crossfire's doing good as well, and hopefully I can be back in the ring sooner than later. I know that's not a priority, and people will say just focus on my health and blah blah blah. But literally, like ever since I woke up, that's all I can think about is I'm gonna wrestle, and then I can see my kids grow up and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Get to look at Mrs. Crossfire's beautiful face every day.
Yay.
But yeah, we'll move on. The match of the week this week, before we get into the PWA show, is Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. Again, for obvious reasons, I thought this one would be funny, and it's also another one of those ones that it is so bad, that it's good, which is a shame because both men are extremely fantastic workers, but we're actually going to be doing a watch-along of that one after we run through the PWA show. So for those that didn't actually read the description, surprise! But the match of the week this week is Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel at WrestleMania 7. But for now, we're just going to do a quick little run-through of PWA's Eat, Sleep, Wrestle, Repeat event. I'll run through the results of all the matches and then just hit the couple of talking points as I see fit. The highlights, in my opinion, and of course, as usual, if Mrs. Crossfire wants to jump in, feel free to do so. But the first match was a singles match. It was Unsocial Jordan making his return. He'd been away for a while up until the last event. I believe it was the last event where he became the number one contender. May have been the one before that, but he's back. He's definitely on a roll here. He's definitely on a roll here. Again, I'm going to leave that in. Fuck it. He defeats Jimmy Townsend via submission. Crowd was super hot straight out the gate, as they usually almost are for PWA shows, especially in the opener. Ring announcer Diego accidentally pocket dialed me during this match because I tagged him in a post on Instagram during the match just as it was starting. I'm kind of regretting not answering it now just for shits and gigs. Like, I probably would have just been the inside of his pocket, but he messaged me back like the next day because I was like, I'm going to assume that was an accident. He's like, yep, haha, sorry about that. What the fuck? But yeah, shout out to Diego. Should I put that like in the description of the episode? Like, which member of the PWA roster called me? But yeah, gave me a little bit of a giggle there. Unsocial Jordan cuts a promo about Ricky South's injury. Threw a lot of cheap heat in there, but he got the job done, so you can't really complain. Crowd was eating up every single word. Jordan declared that as the number one contender, he should just be handed the championship because Ricky is unfortunately unable to defend it, which I get it. Makes sense from a kayfabe thing. That's the markings of a good heel. Like, he was slated to challenge for it, so by default, you don't want to see a guy just get handed it, but by default, it's kind of like, well, isn't that usually what happens? Just this guy can't do it, so this guy can?
Yeah.
And, obviously in a wrestling standpoint, you can't just be like, here's the belt, but it's not the first time it's been done. I remember when Eric Bischoff first brought in the World Heavyweight title in '02, literally just handed it to Triple H. Why? Because he was a heel and he wanted to. But, yeah, some good stuff there. Match number 2, we had a tag team match. We had Back Pain, which is Backman and Jack Payne. They defeated the PPK, which is Nikki Van Blair and Frankie B. Very good stuff there. Very big fan of Nikki Van Blair. I love seeing him. It's great to see Frankie B finally starting to kill it as well. She's only just made her debut fairly recently, I think in the last 6 months, and putting her in a tag team, it's definitely a good way to kind of get her out there and get her some experience without being too crazy. We had a backstage promo between Will Keatis and Big Fudge. They were discussing the bet that they had regarding Big Fudge training Cherry Stevens. Big Fudge thinks that he can make Cherry Stevens a champion, but he's starting to go soft. He's starting to care about her. Dare I say, Mrs. Crossfire, Big Fudge may start to be getting feelings for Cherry Stevens. I still say it's the more you know sound, but Mrs. Crossfire says it sounds like romance. So we'll use it for both. But match number 3 is a singles match with Big Fudge defeating Reese Angel. Match number 4, we have the aforementioned Cherry Stevens defeating Billy Preston, Kingsley, and David Streamer to win the key to the card. It's the key to the card,
Literally
which is
singing
the
that all
right
night.
to enter yourself into any match in PWA. Ultimate Power! Billy Preston with just... It's the best promo I've seen in all of wrestling all year. Hands down. I don't even care. Like, I sent out a tweet during the event, just kind of like as a joke. I'm like, this is the biggest sing-along since the original Rock concert with The Rock in 2003. But, like, it honestly, like, so fucking entertaining.
Pretty fire.
Like, just got me really good. And his theme song as well. I never realized before that he comes out to the Little Einstein theme song.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Crossfire was singing along to that one. But yeah, this
Little
very, very fun match. Some great crowd work to kick it off. We got a "You Sick Fuck" chant after David Streamer tore a few pages out of Cherry Stevens' notebook. No! And then he dropped an elbow on the ripped pages just to kind of drive the point home. Super cheesy stuff, but I honestly, I ate up every single second of it. Like, you know, crowd work is, you know, it's the main thing in my opinion, but during intermission, they showed an older match between Robbie Eagles and Sam Osborne on the Fight stream. I actually hadn't seen this match before because I think this was just before they went on to Fight. This is when they were still on OVO, so I hadn't actually seen this match, so I enjoyed getting to see that one. Go check it out for those of you that haven't seen it yet. Robbie Eagles did win that one for those playing at the home, although it has nothing to do with the actual show, because usually I was like, yeah, intermission, I can go do stuff, and then they decided to play a match that I actually hadn't seen, and I was like, oh, shit. And yeah, really good match there, but back to the live show, we had match number 5. It was a 6-person tag. We had SMS, which is Aaron Jake, Belinda Pierce, and Carter Deems. They defeated One Direction. I couldn't tell you which members of One Direction were in this match, because even the commentators kept getting confused, but I guess that's part of the charm of One Direction. Like, the only one that you can tell is the giant one. You've got the denim one, but he takes the denim jacket off when he wrestles, so is he still the denim one without the jacket? Like, I don't understand.
He just becomes Juan.
Exactly. Without my denim, I'm just Juan. There's a meme in there somewhere, but
I love them. They're the best.
But yeah, it's a very fun match. I realized in this match that Carter Deems kind of looks like Joel Southgate a little in the face. Joel told me he didn't see the resemblance, but in all fairness, my vision is still blurry as fuck. Match number 6, we had Will Keatis defeating Matt Diamond after a low blow and the unprettier. Cherry Stevens was the official in this one. Of course, she is still doing the storyline where she is Will Keatis' personal referee. Initially, Cherry Stevens did get in Will Keatis' face because he was cheating, but eventually she lets the low blow slide. She's very conflicted, but she lets it go. Great storytelling here. I still feel that the pop when Cherry does eventually turn on him will be massive, but I said this to you as we were watching that now that Big Fudge is starting to get feelings, or starting to care at the very least, I'm kind of wondering if they're going to swerve and turn a heel, because it was really giving me vibes of when Trish Stratus turned on Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 20 to align us off of Christian, because that was born out of, they had a bet that who could basically I think it was like 03, 04, and they're basically trying to say who'd bone Trish or Lita first, basically the respective parts. And they found out, that the bet was a thing, but eventually, Jericho made it up and him and Trish became an item, whatever. And then she turned on him, low blows him, slaps him in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, which funnily enough, Christian's finisher is the unprettier. He lays out Jericho in the middle of the ring with the unprettier. So I'm like, are we going to get that exact scenario? Like, Cherry low blow, slap. You have Will Keatis lay out Big Fudge with the unprettier. They're going to straight up rip it off. I don't know. Is it a rip off? Is it a parody? Take your pick. But I feel like when she does become a face, there's going to be a pop. But they've got that little voice in my head now that's like, hang on a minute. What if?
Yes.
And then eventually she'll become a face, and the pop will probably be even bigger if she does become a heel first.
Yeah. True. Yeah.
That's just my thing, and I don't know. We got a promo from Laya Bertolucci. He delivered a great promo as always, short and to the point. And then match 7, / the main event, we had the Nations. We had Mick Moretti, my boy, Jessica Troy, Mrs. Crossfire's girl.
Hell
we
yeah.
had Jack Bonza and Adam Hoffman, and they defeated Lyrebird Lucci, Ben Braxton, Michael Spencer, and Kai Drake. Of course, Spencer and Drake are MK Plus Ultra. They are the current PWA tag champs. Lucci came out to Ricky South's music, which popped the hell out of me, because the moment the music hit, I said to you,
Yeah.
I'm like, I bet this is Lucci. And he came out and he had like the jacket, he had tights that were made to kind of mock Ricky South's tights. He had the lipstick on and everything. Just all around great stuff. I love that cheesy shit. And this was actually the first time in almost a decade that this version of the Four Nations, or just the Nations as they're called, have been in a tag team match together with the four of them.
Yeah.
So that got me a little bit.
It was good.
But after the match, Mick Moretti says that he's going to throw his hat in, or his name, we're going to throw his hat in the ring, throw his name in the ring, whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
for the interim PWA Championship, because he says that no one wants to see Unsocial Jordan versus Lyrebird Lucci, because, of course, Unsocial Jordan, number one contender. Lyrebird Lucci just won the Rumble, so he gets a chance at any championship, and he says that, well, maybe they should hand him the title. So Mick Moretti says, fuck it, how about I be a double champ? So I don't know if this is going to lead to a triple threat with both the PWA and Mick Moretti's soul of PWA Championship on the line, or if is it just going to be just for the heavyweight title? I feel like possibly a double title match would work, but
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I would definitely be keeping an eye on, PWA social medias and stuff in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully by the time, that show rolls around, we'll be able to check it out again, because, as I said, I've got a lot of time off work now, so if I've got the spare cash, there's nothing really stopping me from being able to see it, which is great, because even tomorrow as we record this, there's two shows on. There's Wrestling Revolver and Warrior Wrestling. Usually I'm seeing all the spoilers because I'd watch one, and then I'd go to work and see spoilers for the other, but because I'm off work, we're going to have lots of wrestling in this house, and Mrs. Crossfire is probably going to go absolutely bonkers, but that's all right. But admittedly not the best PWA show that we have seen, but still a very solid card, still very much worth the price of admission, so to speak. But I enjoyed it. Mrs. Crossfire enjoyed it. I still think that the Fatal 4-Way, from a pure entertainment standpoint, was match of the night, but it was also really good, and I said this to you, Mrs. Crossfire, and I sent out a tweet about it as well on the Twitter, that it was really awesome to see Ben Braxton in the main event here for PWA.
Yes.
Because we've seen a little bits and pieces of him in there, here and there, and he's a really fucking talented dude, and like he's still very young. He's only his first year or two in the business, so it's really cool to see him get this moment here. And you can say it's a tag match, whatever, but they could have put anyone else in that spot.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
To see him be in that spot along there with guys like Mick Moretti, girls like Jessica Troy, people like the Nations, we should say, because all four members of the Nation, whether it's Moretti, Troy, Bonza, Hoffman, they're all fantastic. They're household names, at least within the Australian professional wrestling scene. And then he's in there with MK Plus Ultra, who were the tag champs, and Lyrebird Lucci, who's just won the Rumble, which, there's only a handful of PWA Rumble winners as we record this. So
Yeah.
So it's still a pretty good crop of talent. So
Yeah.
awesome stuff to see there. I'm ranting at this point, but I'm just a fucking mark, and I thought it was cool. But did you have anything you wanted to add on to this other than the key to the card?
Not really too much, but really, yeah.
All right, well, with that being said, we will move on to our watch-along of Jake the Snake Roberts versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. All right, Mr. Crossfire, are you ready for me to press play?
Ready to go.
The network says it's continue watching. Let's hope it actually does queue up where I'm up to and doesn't start at the beginning as it so often does with their awesome app. And I say that with a wink and a smile because it's a great app. There's great content, but fuck me, it glitches out sometimes. And could be that we're, viewing it on PlayStation as well. But it's Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin's at WrestleMania, by God. Star of Home Alone.
What a trip.
Wait, what? Hold up a second.
Went to the wrong area. Jake, there we go. Yeah, that's what we want.
So what happened was, I'm going to leave all of this in because why the fuck not? Okay, here we go. Jake the Snake's leading, cutting a promo about the blind or in the blind. What volume have you got it on? Put it on about like 24. Actually, that'll do.
Alrighty. Now we're ready. Some technical difficulties.
I'm going to leave that in. I don't even fuck. Basically, I queued it up on my phone, and that was the chapter before Jake cut his promo.
Rick Martel.
Wait, WrestleMania. I've seen this match before, but WrestleMania and Rick Martel didn't even get like a televised entrance?
No. He just literally is just in the ring
unless
already.
he's already entered before that Jake promo, but
Yeah,
it doesn't
maybe.
make sense because they just did the whole... He must have just come out as Jake was doing the promo.
Yeah, that's why I was like, the model.
Because they put like his name up on the screen and everything, like it was his official...
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I said it was so bad that it's good, but motherfucker didn't even get an entrance at WrestleMania? Yeah, but no, so what happened there, guys, I'm sorry, was I queued it up on my phone so it would be continue watching on the PlayStation, and it just said Macaulay Culkin at WrestleMania in the crowd, and then it had Jake's promo, so I was like, oh, it must go into the other, but no, they've got the start of the tag match, and then it shows Macaulay Culkin in the crowd anyway.
Yeah. it was
Wouldn't that
weird.
just be the start of the tag match?
Yeah, you'd think
Whoever queued that up did something wrong, but basically the story here is you didn't really get to hear Jake's promo because I was too busy laughing in that, but basically he's talking about how it's the blind leading the blind, and typical Jake the Snake Roberts promo. It was a great fucking promo, but Rick Martel has blinded Jake Roberts with his arrogance body spray, and it was a super serious angle, and Jake wanted revenge, and then somehow, because it was, because it's the WWF and Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard, Pat Patterson, whoever the fuck was a part of, the team at the time, it somehow evolved into, let's put a blindfold on them, which I guess isn't super, super cheesy, but for a blow-off to, like, a blood feud, essentially, like, he sprayed it in his eyes. Like, even if you had done, like, some stupid, like, it was before the days of Vince Russo, but an arrogant spray on a pole match or something, like, something at least that made sense, right? Like, maybe you have to blind your opponent to win, as sadistic as that is, but it's on point.
Yeah, yeah.
I've low-key, though, like, all jokes aside, I've always wanted to do a blindfold match. But I've been worried that because of my short-sightedness, even if you gigged it up and got something you could see through, I still wouldn't be able to see through it. Like, I tried on the masks. I wore a mask at some point before I became Crossfire. I was originally going to wear a balaclava.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I bought it, it fit. I got a haircut. It no longer fit. It was too big, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, my first match I was meant to have this balaclava where it was just my eyes, and eventually I get unmasked after that, but, good old Dozer, he has all the gimmicks in ICW. I don't think that's a secret. Everyone knows that it's actually him. Who gives a shit? He gives me one of these masks. It's a plain black mask with, like, the mesh kind of eye sockets, right? And it's plain back as well. I put it on. I could see out of one side, but all I can see out of my left side is just the mesh. Because I was that short-sighted.
Yeah.
So who knows, maybe once this eye heals, I'll be able to wear that style, like mask. Cool. But yeah, just... Jake the Snake kind of got a sneaky little slap in there, I believe. I was looking at Mrs. Crossfire. I wasn't looking at the screen. Oh, my internet is loading. I don't know why. I used my hotspot. This could be a fun time. We could be here for half an hour trying to watch like a 10-minute match.
That's Optus for ya.
I do love this, though. Like, again, I talked about the PWA Fatal 4-Way match. Like, we very much have, like the crowd work where it's the hot and cold kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe if I just pause it for like 2 seconds.
Buffer for a
Oh,
minute?
shit.
Oh, what happened there?
Okay, so I just paused it for a minute to let it buffer, and I accidentally skipped the chapter, but I'm back up to where we're up to, or thereabouts anyway. they're kind of feeling out the crowd. Hopefully this works. Hopefully I can get an episode out of this. But as I was saying, I very much love, similar to the four-way that I was just talking about at PWA, like the crowd work, like just the, is he there? Is he there? And they're cheering, and obviously because Martel's the heel, they're kind of, they'll jimmy him up, right? And obviously Martel being a fantastic worker, he's playing along. It's like intentionally walking kind of like in the, the wrong direction. They kind of tried to bounce off the ropes there, and Martel like hung himself up on the rope. Love it.
Is one of them accidentally going to bump into the ref and then knock the ref out? Like, I'm just predicting.
I honestly, I have seen this match
I don't
before,
think I don't remember seeing this. I don't think
I don't think you've seen this one, but it's like my last episode we did the Good Housekeeping match. This is one of the matches that comes up on the majority of the lists when you're like funny wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Which is just a shame, because as I said, both guys fantastic wrestlers. Like Jake the Snake, one of the greatest talkers of all time. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I put him and Bobby Heenan as number one tied, depending on my mood. There's both the greatest talkers. And as I said, the promo leading into this, where Jake's like, it's the blind leading the blind, and blah, blah, blah. He's trying to make all these metaphors and does a great job. And then you get this.
Yes.
Like if it was like a Saturday Night's main event or something like that, I feel like, maybe even a SummerSlam potentially, but it's WrestleMania, and I know it's only the 7th installment. It's not as big as it had become, but it's still their biggest show of the year. And to start off, Rick Martel doesn't get a fucking entrance. Like,
Just the comedy of it is giving me Pat vibes. I'm wondering if Pat came up with it, like, when you were mentioning before.
I'm not sure of the timeline that Bruce Pritchard came into the WWF. I'm sure someone will fucking correct me on that anyway, but this is great.
Yeah.
Jake's trying to find the snake.
Oh, I knew it.
Rick Martel almost hit the referee, and the referee's like, hey, how dare you? How dare you? You get your damn hands off me. I don't know why the referee sounds like Jim Ross, but you get your damn hands off me, boy.
I had a double take for a second, because the ref actually looks like a younger version of Vince.
You'd almost have to be able, you'd almost have to have them gigged up to see out of, yeah? Because
they had a bit of mesh on it.
Martel's ass was just touching the fucking bag with the snake in it. And, I know it's tied up and stuff, but if you couldn't see for real, and you're working Jake the Snake Roberts, and you're aware that, you know what that bag feels like, you know what's in there,
Yeah, you'd be shitting bricks. You would be shitting bricks.
Got the Muttley laugh going on, but I just had that thought. I'm like, imagine if he bumped the bag and he was like, oh god. He can't see where that fucking snake is. He can't see if it's still in the bag. You know what? I give him props. I give Rick Martel props for taking a blindfold match when there is a snake in the corner.
Yes.
I didn't even think of that until he just bumped it.
Pretty smart.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck that. I want to do a blindfold match, but not if there's a snake involved. Do when Earthquake squashed him and they got the hamburger meat and they wrapped it up in some pantyhose to make it shaped like a snake.
Yes, that was funny.
That's fine. I'll work with that.
Yeah, when we were watching, I think it was documentary. It was telling a story or something.
I love that they touched on it in Young Rock as well, where it wasn't Earthquake, but it was someone else. Oh, here we go. He's about to touch the snake bag.
He's gonna grab the bag.
That is brilliant.
That was good.
You got to give them to
the
it.
The cell
though.
jump on it was fantastic.
You've got to give it to them though. It's not like that. It's bad, right? I said it's so bad that it's good, but it's just I think it's left field. I don't think anyone was expecting comedy out of this angle with how seriously it starts.
Yeah.
And I kind of gave you a brief rundown before we started watching that. Hey, this is what's happening, and you were like, okay, I dig it, but
yeah.
Everyone just wants to see Jake get his hands on him, hit the clothesline, DDT, put the snake on top of him, maybe poke him in the eye a couple of times for revenge, but we got this instead.
Oh, he's gonna get him thinking it's him.
Jake just fell out of the ring there. Perfect bump, by the way, for a dude that's meant to be blindfolded.
Yeah.
Favoring the ribs. I think he did genuinely like hit his ribs. Like he's still selling, but like it's really good. Like I don't think it was intentionally meant to land in that area, but he.
Yeah.
Oh, Martel's got a chair.
Because when they were putting the masks on before, you could see there's a little bit of mesh in the front for where the eyes are, but it still looks pretty dark. Like
Martel's got a chair and he's basically jousting thin air, trying to. He was trying to hit Jake the Snake with the chair. He bumped into the ring post, turned around, hit the ring post, and now he's jacked up his wrist. Oh, Jake's got a hold of him. He's got a hold of that wrist. Oh, he was looking for that short arm clothesline, but Martel knew it was coming. Body slam. Oh, backbreaker. Beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Rib breaker.
Makes sense.
Like you can tell there, he genuinely lost his footing trying to grab Jake's leg. Did Martel. And there's the Boston Crab there.
I liked that because just before Jake was actually favouring his rib.
That's what I said. I think it's mainly that he's just selling, but the way that he fell out, I'm like, that genuinely could have fucked him out.
Yeah, but it made sense.
Yeah.
The psychology work there was fantastic.
That's right. Like, there's two dudes, second to none. Like, they're fucking fantastic workers. Jake hooks him with the DDT. He can't find him. He's trying to pin him, but he can't find him.
That looks like me in the middle of the night. I've lost my glasses trying to feel around.
1, 2, 3.
Nice.
And that right there is how you protect a finish. Because he laid there for about like 10 seconds just with Jake, like, you know, faking out that he couldn't find him on the mat.
Yeah.
Covers him, still gets the 1, 2, 3. It's kind of crazy that you think about that's the only thing that Jake really hit in that whole match.
Yeah.
He just hit the DDT and he still kept him down for the 3 count.
It was just the comedy of it all. It actually was still pretty good.
I just thought it was funny given like the circumstances. We're trying to kind of not scraping the bottom of the barrel here, but we're trying to get out content. And as I said, you know, I'll try my best to continue to do weekly episodes. But now that I have got episode 52 out, or it's not out yet, but we're recording it, it is a weight kind of off my shoulders, so to speak. Well,
he just got the perfume and whacked old mate, the ref, around with it because he was spraying it around.
Yeah, he was spraying it around. The referee, I think, thought that Jake was going to spray it back in Martel's eyes, and the referee said no. Jake says, I don't need a perfume bottle. I've got a big-ass fucking python, and you're about to wear it.
Which snake is this one? I can't remember.
I believe that's still Damien. I could be wrong.
Still Damien? Yeah. I was thinking, he kind of looks like Damien, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think they... Oh, there you go. Gorilla Monsoon just said he wants no part of Damien. Look at the fucking... Because obviously they use different... They didn't use the same snake all the time. Like, he used, like, the same one for a few months and then swapped them out, but they all looked similar. But, like, look at the fucking size of that one. Like, he's a...
Fuck, he's beautiful.
Look how fucking fat he is.
Oh.
That's a snake that eats well. It always blows my mind that Jake the Snake was terrified of snakes. But the whole Jake the Snake thing was just a nickname he gave himself. Oh, okay, we're cutting to a Nasty Boys promo now after they're celebrating. We'll pause it there. Oh, look, it's the Mounties. But, like, it's crazy to me that Jake the Snake just called himself Jake the Snake. Just kind of as like a whole gimmick thing. And then he gets called up, and Vince is like, well, we're going to take that literally. You're going to carry a snake. And he's just like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Knowing full well that he's fucking terrified, but he's just like,
it's fucking
money,
Vince.
right?
Like,
money.
Yeah. I suppose you'd overcome it, like exposure therapy and whatnot, being around him and, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He's like, he has said that in a way he's never going to keep one as a pet, but in a way he has overcome his fear from that. He's like, if I saw one in the wild, I'd probably, still panic a little bit. But in terms of, hey, do you want to hold the snake? He knows how to handle them.
Yeah, I think with like a lot of people are scared of like either snakes or spiders or both. For me, I'm not really scared of either because I've grown up like literally living with the bush behind us. We literally had snakes sitting on our like doorstep. Like, we had steps up to our, like, front porch when we were little, and they used to sunbake there. We had a red belly black, and half the time Mum's like, hello, baby, and just walks over it.
Well,
and it sounds crazy, but,
I've been around snakes my entire life, but that's done the opposite. It's made me
yeah,
more
you're
fucking scared of them.
Yeah. No, I used to sit in the sand pit, and they used to come past me, and Dad's like, just sit there, let them go past. Like, taught me all, like, the dangers and stuff of them. And I was like, is the black fella coming out of me or what? But it was really cool.
But what'd you think of that match, Mrs. Crossfire?
It was good.
As I said, like, it's kind of like I said it's so bad that it's good, but it's not bad. It's just funny. But
yeah, it's pretty funny.
I don't know, like, it's just one of those things where how, you know, I've seen that a few times, but it boggles my mind. I never realized that Martel never got an actual entrance.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? It's WrestleMania. No, fuck Rick Martel. We've got to get TV time for Macaulay Culkin in the tag title match.
Yeah, that was just like, what the fuck?
Oh, I do apologize for the technical difficulties there, guys. As I said, I queued it up on the chapters. It looked like that led into Jake's promo, and then I had to then re-find where we're up to because I accidentally skipped it to the Undertaker's match while I was trying to pause it. I clicked on the next chapter, but we got through it. It was Jake the Snake versus Rick Martel in a blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. I enjoyed it. It was a good laugh. Mrs. Crossfire had a good laugh. And I guess that's proof that the DDT will do everyone.
Yeah.
It's the first thing he hit, and he still laid there for a solid 30 seconds before he got back up. So
yeah. Solid.
I guess it really is Damien's dinner time. All right, that will bring us to a close for this week. As always, I do thank you all for your constant support. May not have been, the 1 year celebration that, people were expecting, but I always enjoy having my lovely wife, Mrs. Crossfire, on with me. And as I stated earlier in the episode, this is the first time we've had her for 3 weeks straight, so that's somewhat of a big deal there, in my opinion, for the anniversary show. But did you have anything else that you wanted to add to this before we wrap it up, Mrs. Crossfire?
Not really. I think we pretty much discussed everything that I could think of for this episode. I think nice and short and sweet. It's shorter than usual, but
yeah, I think this from all the episodes that you and I have done together, this is quite easily the shortest one we've done.
That's all right.
I think it's good. I think we've done good. The song of the week was Blinded by the Light by the Rubik's Cubes. The match of the week was that match that we just watched, that being Jake Roberts versus Rick Martel at WrestleMania 7. Don't forget to check the links in the description box below. There is currently a sale on at Pro Wrestling Tees, and it will still be active for the first few days that this episode originally drops. CPW will present Clash in the Capitol in 6 days' time from the date that this originally airs. It's a week away as we record this. I am the essential John L. Crossfire, and as always, once again, sounding like a crack record here, but just thank you guys for constantly showing your support. Let me know what you guys want, for year 2, for season 2, for lack of a better term, for the pod. Who do you want to hear? What do you want me to hear do?
Are you sick of me yet?
But as I said, that lovely voice once again was Mrs. Crossfire. It's only fitting that on the 1 year anniversary of the pod, you well and truly get yourself caught in the crossfire. But above all else, like every other week, you have just been caught
in conversation. Thanks, guys.
52 weeks! Boom. Happy anniversary, Mrs. Crossfire.
Shaka-laka-laka.